How would your life change if you resolved to do good and you refuse to let any hardship shake your resolve? Life is unpredictable and it has a way of seeming unfair. Sometimes it's deeply painful. What if I told you that no matter what happens to you, you have the power to respond with strength, integrity, and purpose? If you're anything like me and you're neck deep in the doing, you want to do your best to do all that doing, coming from a position of being good rather than falling into victimhood, then I'm sure that by the end of this conversation, we'll both be better equipped with ways to manage ourselves in the times and circumstances when we see things that could be perceived as unjust or unfair. And we position ourselves to lead a life that's defined not by what happens to us, but by how we choose to respond to it. If you don't know, my name is Chad Joshua. I write songs about populism, freedom, and liberty, and this is my artist channel, which I use to promote those songs. In my free time, I like to have these discussions about areas in our lives where we could infuse better and effective strategies in order to see to it that we're making the most of our finite time while we're working towards accomplishing our goals. I recently heard Jordan Peterson talking about this idea of doing good no matter what, and what I took away from that resonated with me, so I thought that I would explore it a little deeper today. I suppose at the core it's all about integrity, and integrity is so important because it acts as our anchor, so that no matter how rough the seas get, it helps to keep us steady. You know, there are real consequences to adopting a mindset of victimhood. First, it limits your ability to see opportunities or growth, and worstly, it reinforces the feelings of helplessness and resentment that have you coupled to the circumstance. People fall into this trap because it feels validating to blame external circumstances for where it is that they are and for the way that they are managing, and because pain often clouds judgment, which leads to more reactive responses. The first step to doing anything about this is recognizing it so that you can reclaim your agency and your power. Victimhood is like a quicksand. The more you engage with it, the faster you sink. In my life, with the challenges that I face in terms of writing 100 songs and finding a community that my music will resonate with, I do have a tendency to fall into this victimhood mindset when things don't work out for me and I see them working out for other people. I feel stuck. I'm hit with some failure to launch no matter how many times I run up the runway. It isn't so much that I think I deserve anything, but I suppose I was under some sort of an illusion that God helps those who help themselves, and that if you were doing something as opposed to just sitting on the sofa, then there should be some sort of a cause and effect factor that factors into the result. But as I've learned, neither of those are precisely true, but I'm still neck deep in testing the results of reckless persistence. But I have to say that whenever I measure things in this way, I don't like to be around myself. I don't find myself to be someone of merit, and I recognize it's not a good look for me. You know, what good comes of it? Because I'm still responsible to live out the duration of each day, belly aching and living inside of the grievance of things. You know, that's no way to manifest or attract anything positive to yourself. So for me, I'm aware of this, aware of my bad habits in this way, and I'm resolved to make a more diligent go of it. Because if you position yourself to be resolved with integrity, it ensures that your actions will align with your values and what is important to you. And that all provides a strength that you can rely on. It can carry you through the hardships that you may face. Some of the examples of this would be choosing honesty whenever it would be more easier to lie, or offering kindness even in a circumstance that you perceive to have been treated unfairly. And when you start making those kinds of decisions to behave in such a way, it has a ripple effect. Rather than being agitated, you've made a conscientious decision to exist in a better disposition. And that goodness is perceived by others, and they're going to treat you accordingly. And it could even be that it inspires them to move in the same way. All of that creates for a better way of interacting with the challenges that you have to face and the people with whom that you have to navigate time with. It's sort of like you let your spirit become something of a lighthouse, and no matter how bad the storm is, it's consistent. Your shine is consistent. But how is it that we can put that into practice? And what's one value that you could commit to upholding even in the face of challenges? When we start to take these so-called injustices and use them as fuel to drive us, rather than it being something that makes us feel like a victim, it's something that propels us to the accomplishments that we haven't yet made. We just focus on managing our disposition and managing our expectation and reality of what it is that's taking place. You know, As I stand here, I'm looking at a beautiful river, and I'm looking at a beautiful mountain just up ahead. And it happens to be that I live abroad in a scenically beautiful country. And it's also fantastic. And at the same time, so easy to lose sight of while I tether into the rat race of attempting to make a success of myself. And so much so that I come out here every day diligently with an effort to convey hopefulness and an effort to exemplify the attributes that are necessary to build a community around in order to have a community, in order to connect with and share the art that I'm trying to make. Meanwhile, every day I fail to be able to perceive the beauty of the moment that I exist in and how fascinating and interesting it all is because I'm staring at a camera and not absorbing the magnificence that's all around me. And rather than focusing on whether or not I have an audience or not for the music that I have spent 30 years developing the skills and building and the craft as a songwriter and as a producer, and rather enjoying the fruits of that, I can be obsessed with the failure of my limited reach. So it's just sort of an absurdity. Like, if I focus on the good and I focus on being the good and being encouraging to others rather than being resentful to others, what difference is it going to make in my life? And I don't mean that in that I'm trying to sell something or even the excuse to make a video in terms of this video is trying to earn me subscribers or earn me friends, but I mean it in a real genuine way. What if I could just make this transition to and being good? Wouldn't it serve me in my effort to navigate through the time that I have to navigate through? Don't you think that the same thing would apply to you? Because we have to live out the day. And so if we live out the day as a victim and resentful and angry at all the injustice, or we live out the day where we celebrate our path and we celebrate the paths of the people around us who are striving towards what they're striving to, and we soak it all in for a change rather than exist in this competitive, narcissistic vacuum driven by algorithms and social engineering, isn't there something in that becomes like a treasure? So for the rest of my day today, I'm going to get back to the studio here and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to work on this next song. I'm not going to focus on outcomes. I'm just going to focus on the joy of being in a position that I can do that. Because if I'm locked in there in front of a computer screen, I'm going to have to enjoy that because I'm missing a gorgeous view out here on a beautiful day. And I'm not going to waste any time today worrying about who has a better view than I do, because I'm not sure that anybody does. So you keep your head up, and I'm going to keep my head up. In the meantime, if you haven't had a chance to hear my new song, you can listen to it there. And we'll talk again soon.